Niagara Falls is easily the most impressive waterfall I have ever seen. The sheer power of the water flowing over the falls is hard to comprehend without witnessing it for yourself and experiencing the mist at the base on one of the fun boat tours. We spent 24 hours exploring both the United States and Canada side to make this video, and here's how to plan the perfect day at Niagara Falls. Let us know what we left off in the comments and let's jump into it. Starting our day in Niagara Falls with the Cave of the Winds. You excited to be in Niagara Falls again?
Yeah, it's so cool. 7 years later.
We stayed the previous night on the United States side at Comfort Inn The Point, which is the closest hotel to the waterfall. And we began our day by walking over, grabbing tickets for the Cave of the Winds, and then going over to Terrapin Point to wait for our turn. Look at the difference between the American and the Canadian Maid of the Mist boats. One is completely full and the other one has basically no one on it.
They're like holding each other up and standing up straight.
Terrapin Point is the closest you can get to Horseshoe Falls from the American side. It's cool to be able to see the power of the water going over the falls and to be so close, but the views here are not as good as they are from the Canada side. That being said, are any views of this waterfall actually bad? I don't think so. Alright, now we're heading to right here, the Cave of the Winds. Cave of the Winds is one of the top attractions on the American side with the Maid of the Mist boat tour. After paying for your time ticket, you'll go through a small museum and then be led in to see a movie on the history of the cave itself and the Niagara Falls area. At one point in time, there was actually a cave behind Bridal Veil Falls that they would take people down to, but a rockfall in the 20s closed it and turned it into what it is today. I asked if we needed ponchos and they said, oh, it's the winter, you won't get wet. And then they provided ponchos, so I don't know if that means it's gonna be pretty crazy down here right now.
The last time I did this, I got soaking wet, so by choice, actually.
Here's a video of Amy getting soaking wet when we went during the summer. They only set up these closer boardwalks a few months out of the year during summertime, so even if we wanted to, we wouldn't be able to get that close right now. It's pretty nuts how many birds they are. They are everywhere. Maybe it's nesting season or something right now. Regardless of whether you come in the winter or the summer, this is still an amazing experience as it gets you so close to the waterfall and allows you to take some great pictures. Are you getting wet?
Yeah, it's awesome. I want to go to the end.
Made it to the end! Woo! You can stay down here as long as you want, but most people probably spend about 20 to 30 minutes during the winter time. It's well worth the price of admission. Being able to see Bridal Veil Falls from this angle is just something you'll never forget. Definitely get wet, even in the winter. After taking the elevator back up, we explored Goat Island a little bit more and saw the bronze Tesla statue. From here you can get some great views down towards Luna Island and American Falls, which was our next destination. After crossing the bridge over to Luna Island, you'll be standing right at the top of a lookout that lets you see Bridal Veil Falls on one side and American Falls on the other. That's where we were at right there just a minute ago. Now we're way up here at the top. When you research Niagara Falls, you'll see a lot of people preferring the Canadian side. And even though I would say I probably prefer being able to view the waterfalls directly on from that side as well, it's still something you can imagine to be able to stand at the top of these massive waterfalls and just experience the power as you're looking down over them. After leaving the viewpoint, we continued to explore the small Luna Island before making our way back to Niagara Falls proper and heading to our hotel to warm up and grab some coffee. When we came back out to explore, the sun was out and we were able to get an amazing view of a rainbow coming off of American Falls. I had never seen this before, and I'm sure it happens all the time, but to me, it was something pretty incredible to see.
There's a rainbow in the falls. So cool.
Look at that, there's almost a double rainbow. The second one is really faint, but it's there. I took way more pictures than I needed to of this, but can you blame me? It was a pretty amazing experience. When I was finally able to pull myself away, we headed to the Maid of the Mist and we grabbed our tickets and made our way down the elevator to get in line. Once you take the elevator down to the base, they give you a poncho, and I have to say, you definitely need to put this poncho on. You are probably going to get pretty wet.
Amy and I got instant karma for making fun of the sardines on the other boat. Now we're a sardine on this one.
Instant.
A note about buying tickets, you usually just buy them for the next available boat.
It's exciting. About to get wet.
The Maid of the Mist leaves promptly at its scheduled time and it takes about 20 minutes round trip. What's so fun about this experience is that it's historic and it's been here for over 100 years. It actually started its life as a ferry in 1848, but when a suspension bridge was built and the traffic stopped coming to the ferry, they decided to change it into a sightseeing boat cruise. This happened around 1885 and the Maid of the Mist has been running these boat tours ever since.
It's crazy.
We are in the mist.
Very much so. Feels like you're under a waterfall, but you're not in the water.
Of course, make sure your phone or camera is waterproof if you're coming out here and be prepared to get incredibly wet. There's no way around it unless maybe you hide at the back of the boat.
This is crazy.
I don't know if you've done it before or not, but I say that the Maid of the Mist is definitely one of those experiences that lives up to the hype. It is so much fun and something you'll never forget. After about 5 minutes getting absolutely soaked, the boat turned around and we started our way back to the dock. When we passed the boat from the Canadian side, they had way fewer people on it than we did.
Wow, I forgot how wild that was. I almost lost my head. Got to experience it at least once. At least we haven't changed the clothes. Yeah. That was wild. Soaking wet on any part that was exposed.
Yeah.
And my jacket. But man, that was so much fun.
Amazing. So exhilarating. Before we leave, we're gonna head up to the crow's nest.
The crow's nest is like a natural / man-made observation point at the base of American Falls. Basically, you climb up about 150 stairs to get to a rock outcropping where you can take pictures of the waterfall. Unfortunately for us, there was like 200 people trying to do it, so we walked up to the top, took a couple pictures, but didn't want to wait in line to go to the actual crow's nest. When you get in the elevator and go back up, don't forget to go out to the right and to see the views from the observation deck. This is probably the best view on the American side, so you definitely do not want to miss it. After getting some dry clothes, we walked over to Anchor Bar for lunch, which is supposedly the creator of the buffalo wing. The original location's in Buffalo, but it's become so popular that they have satellite locations now.
Alright, we're at Anchor Bar, which is the creator of the buffalo wing. So these are the famous buffalo wings they made in 1964. And then I also got the beef on weck, which is a sandwich that's made in buffalo that I already know I really like. I've had multiple times on this trip. I got the original sauce, which is how they made it. Not very spicy, but good tangy sauce. Well cooked wing. I would say that's very strong. I really like it. So when I was reading online, that place got a lot of hate, but honestly, I thought the food was pretty good, especially for the Niagara Falls area. So check it out if you're interested. We're gonna head on towards Canada. So if you're worried about walking over, the process is incredibly easy. You basically just have to have a passport and you have to have $1 per person. That's all it takes to get back and forth. We've done it a couple times already. From our hotel to the other side, it's about a mile to walk.
One of the best things about walking across are the great views from the Rainbow Bridge of both the waterfalls. The bridge also lets you walk across the international boundary sign, which is fun. And of course, if you rented a car, you could drive into Canada as well if you didn't want to walk. But if you're wanting to take a rideshare, from what I heard, they have to drop you off on one side and then you have to walk across the other side and pick a different rideshare up.
And just like that, we made it to the Canadian side.
Once you get across to the Canada side, the first thing you'll notice is all the chain restaurants that immediately greet you. After that, as you walk down to the water, you'll see some pretty parks, and then there's a great walkway that takes you all the way to Horseshoe Falls.
I'm never gonna forget this spot right here because this is where Amy and I watched the total eclipse.
Look how beautiful and bright it is right now.
Yeah, it's a nice day right now. It wasn't for our eclipse, but you can see that video up here if you're interested.
I think my eyes hurt from straining through the clouds, just hoping to see it.
But I'll never forget this spot right here. We're not doing it on this trip, but there's a zip line adventure you can have where you zip line down towards the falls. So it looks pretty interesting.
Do note that if you're planning to walk from the Rainbow Bridge entrance to Canada all the way down to Horseshoe Falls, it's about a mile each way.
Man, it's just the perfect day today, and it's so cool to just be able to walk and see these views, both these waterfalls right next to you.
One of the best things about the Canada side is just the views you get directly across the river towards the waterfalls.
That's where we're heading right now, Journey Under the Falls. This has got to be one of the most easily accessible, amazing waterfalls in the world. Let me know if you know of a different one in the comments, but I can't think of anything that's this easy to see.
As we got closer to the falls, we were greeted with another rainbow that you could actually see in both directions.
Guys, I know a rainbow is not probably that uncommon here, but look at that. It looks like you're looking through a rainbow at a waterfall. I mean, how good is that?
It's pretty funny to see the Maid of the Mist from this angle and to know how much that mist translates to you getting soaking wet. After about 30 minutes of taking our time walking, we finally made it to the top of Horseshoe Falls. It's impossible to describe how amazing it is to see the waterfall from this vantage point.
Check it out, it's like the rainbow's leading to a pot of gold right in the middle of the waterfall.
The sheer power and volume of the water coming over the falls is just something that you have to be there and experience in order to understand.
Guys, this is blowing my mind right now with that rainbow. I've taken probably 200 photos, but we're pulling ourselves away to go to Journey Behind the Falls.
Journey Behind the Falls is one of the few attractions that I didn't do on my first visit to Niagara Falls. We decided to do it this time and we took the elevator down into the historic tunnels that allow you to go behind the waterfall. The first stop we headed to is Cataract Portal, and you couldn't really see much. It was basically just a wall of mist in front of you. Heading down the tunnels again, we made it to the Great Falls Portal, and there was about 30 people in front of us waiting to take a photo.
This sign shows you where we are at, so we are at right there on the waterfall right now.
Honestly, I'm not sure why people were waiting for this one and not the other one, as it basically seemed like the same view when I saw them.
They said one of the platforms is closed, so that might be better at other times of the year. But honestly, there's not really a lot to see right now. Can't really see much behind the falls, and that viewpoint was packed, so we're heading on.
There was one other viewpoint we could access that let you get up close to the base of the falls. There were a ton of people here, so we couldn't stay long, but it was a pretty cool view. Amy and I were pretty exhausted, so we looked around to find a spot that we could sit for a little bit.
We found these random drinks at the store sweetened with maple sap, and we found this awesome spot on the second floor to have a little break.
After relaxing for about 30 minutes and then heading down to take more photos of Horseshoe Falls, we decided to head on to our next stop.
Up next, we are heading to right there.
It takes about 15 minutes to walk to the Skylon Tower, and there is some uphill if you have mobility issues. This tower was built in 1965 and it's been a staple of the Canada side of Niagara Falls since then.
Not quite sure if these games are outdated or very retro.
We grabbed our tickets and waited about 30 minutes as there was only one working elevator before it took us to the top of the tower. It stands 520 feet or 160 meters above the street below, and it's probably one of the best views you can get of Niagara Falls. When you get to the top, you can either walk around the indoor viewing area or you can go out to the open air observation deck. On the few times that I've been here, the observation deck has been incredibly windy, but it's still worth going out there to get some unobstructed pictures. From up here, you get 360-degree views and you can see Rainbow Bridge, American Falls, Horseshoe Falls, and even both of them if you're standing in the right spot. We spent about 30 minutes up there taking in the views, and it's definitely worth doing once.
All right, our day in Niagara Falls is coming to a close, but now we're gonna go to Amy's favorite thing, Poutine!
Maybe it'll be better this time.
If you don't know, last time we went to Canada, we had poutine. You can watch it up here. She was not happy about it. But that was like 7 years ago. Your taste buds may have changed.
I'm sure it'll be a delicacy now.
We walked about 10 minutes down the road past the line of chain restaurants to get to Smoke's Poutineery.
Oh yeah, Korean barbecue, chicken bacon ranch.
What's your excitement level out of 10?
Well, I would say maybe like a 6 because I'm hungry.
All right, I got the traditional with bacon and chicken added. And what'd you get, Amy?
I got butter chicken.
What's your excitement level at now?
I'm intrigued. And hungry. Oh man. It's delicious. Tastes like Indian dish with French fries.
I very much enjoyed my poutine. I think I'd eat it about once a year, maybe. What'd you think?
I am really happy I tried it again. I really enjoyed the butter chicken versus having the gravy. So yes, about maybe once a year.
Amy's not gonna eat it again, but I like it.
As we began our walk back to the Rainbow Bridge, we headed through the Clifton Hills area, which I had never seen before and had no idea what I was looking at. They had shops that sold Cuban cigars, they had a Ferris wheel, Ripley's Believe It or Not selfie studios. There was a little bit of everything here. Is this what you think of when you think of Niagara Falls? If I didn't know better, I would have thought I was back in Gatlinburg, Tennessee when I was walking through this area. But of course we had to try what one of the locals told us was a delicacy called a beavertail that apparently had been a thing in Canada since 1978. How excited are you from 1 to 10 now?
I'm gonna be like, yeah, like a 9.5. I'm excited about this.
So this is supposedly a Canadian delicacy since 1978. It's called a beavertail. We got the recommended maple one, and then Amy got the banana something.
It's like banana Nutella.
It looks kind of like fry bread with sweets on top, so give it a try.
It's basically like a really thin, long funnel cake instead of like a swirl and a crepe together. And I like that.
All right, I got the maple one, which had a maple flavored spread, whatever that means, plus maple candies and powdered sugar. That is decadent. Super, super rich. I like the crunch from the maple candies. Beavertails are good in my book. We spent our last 20 minutes just walking around this crazy area and talking about how it would probably be pretty good for a family if they were staying here. Especially if you had older kids that were interested in all the different crazy attractions, a lot of them horror-based that they had. I didn't know this part of Niagara Falls existed, and I have to say it's a little overwhelming. Luckily, we're almost back to the waterfall. When we got back, we found a bench to sit at, and we just soaked in the sunset for the next 45 minutes, waiting for the light show to begin. Finally, it got dark enough for Niagara Falls Illumination to start, which is a collection of hundreds of different LED lights that have all sorts of colors that they display on the falls. This display happens every night, and it's definitely a unique way to end your time in the city, especially seeing colors like red on the waterfall.
We're heading back to the United States now. Thanks so much for spending a perfect day with us in Niagara Falls. We'll see you on the next one.